Some cases get solved. The killer is caught. The mystery is explained. The family finally gets answers. These are not those cases. These are 10 cold cases that have haunted investigators for decades. 10 cases where the clues ran out, the suspects vanished, and the questions never stopped. Some are famous. Some are nearly forgotten. All of them are still open. And all of them will stay with you long after this video ends. Number 10, the Zodiac Killer. Between 1968 and 1969, at least 5 people were murdered in Northern California by a man who sent taunting letters to newspapers. He called himself the Zodiac. He included cryptographic ciphers with his letters coded messages he claimed contained his identity. One was solved in 2020, over 50 years later. It contained nothing useful. Most were never solved at all. The Zodiac claimed to have killed 37 people. The confirmed count is 5. The real number may be somewhere in between, or higher. He described his victims as slaves for the afterlife. He threatened to shoot children off school buses. He sent a piece of a victim's bloody shirt to a newspaper editor. He seemed to enjoy the attention almost as much as the killing. And then he stopped. The letters slowed. The murders stopped. The man who had mocked police for years simply disappeared. Dozens of suspects have been investigated. None have ever been charged. The Zodiac case remains open in multiple California jurisdictions. His identity, to this day, is unknown. Number 9, the Black Dahlia. On January 15, 1947, a woman walking in a Los Angeles neighborhood noticed what she thought was a discarded mannequin in a vacant lot. It was not a mannequin. It was the body of Elizabeth Short, 22 years old. She had been completely severed at the waist. Her body had been drained of blood, washed, and carefully posed. Her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth toward her ears, what investigators called a Glasgow smile. She had been tortured for days before death. The Los Angeles Police Department received hundreds of confessions, all false. More than 150 formal suspects were investigated. A suspect was never charged. The case generated enormous press. Elizabeth Short became known as the Black Dahlia, a nickname she had never used in life. Her murder became one of the most famous unsolved homicides in American history. Who killed Elizabeth Short? Investigators have pointed to a doctor, a surgeon, a bellhop, a contractor. None of the theories have held up. The case is still open. The killer was never found. Number 8, the Somerton Man. In December 1948, an unidentified man was found dead on a beach in Adelaide, Australia. He had no identification. His clothing labels had been removed. No one reported him missing. No one came forward to identify him. In the pocket of his trousers, investigators found a small rolled piece of paper. On it were 2 words in Persian, Tamam shud. It means, it is ended. The Somerton Man case baffled investigators for over 70 years. The paper was traced to a rare book of poetry. Inside the book's back cover was an encoded message that cryptographers have never fully broken. A phone number led to a woman who knew more than she admitted, but she died without revealing what she knew. DNA analysis in 2022 finally gave the man a probable identity, Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. But the mystery of how he died, and why, and what the code meant, remains unsolved. Number 7, the Zodiac's Lake Berryessa attack. In September 1969, the Zodiac attacked 2 people at Lake Berryessa. He appeared in a hood with a symbol drawn on it, a circle with a crosshair. He tied the two victims, stabbed them repeatedly, and walked away. One survived. She was able to give a description. It has never led to an arrest. Number 6, D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a man using the name Dan Cooper hijacked a Northwest Orient flight from Portland to Seattle. He showed a flight attendant what appeared to be a bomb, demanded $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes, released the passengers in Seattle, and then somewhere over the Pacific Northwest wilderness jumped out of the plane. He has never been found. A small bundle of deteriorated ransom bills was discovered on a riverbank in 1980. That is the only physical trace he ever left behind. D.B. Cooper remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in commercial aviation history. The FBI officially suspended active investigation in 2016. The case is still open. Number 5, the Villisca Axe Murders. On the night of June 9, 1912, someone entered a home in Villisca, Iowa, and murdered 8 people with an axe, 6 children and 2 adults. The murders were methodical. Every mirror in the house was covered. Every window was sealed with clothing. The killer apparently spent the night in the house after committing the murders. The town was never the same. 2 men were tried and acquitted. A third was investigated and cleared. The killer was never identified. The Villisca house still stands. People visit it every year. And whoever killed those 8 people has never been named. Number 4, Jack the Ripper. In 1888, at least 5 women were brutally murdered in the Whitechapel district of London. The killer eviscerated his victims with what appeared to be surgical precision. Letters claiming to be from the killer were sent to police and newspapers. One letter included half of a preserved kidney. The Metropolitan Police investigated hundreds of suspects. The killer was never caught. Over a century later, Jack the Ripper remains one of the most analyzed unsolved murders in history. Dozens of books have named different suspects, from a royal physician to a Polish immigrant to a member of the British royal family itself. None of the theories have been proven. The case is still open. Number 3, the Beaumont Children. On Australia Day 1966, 3 children, Jane, Arna, and Grant Beaumont, ages 9, 7, and 4, went to a beach near Adelaide with their mother's permission. They never came home. The Beaumont children disappeared in broad daylight. Witnesses reported seeing them with an unknown man near the beach. Despite one of the largest police investigations in Australian history, the children were never found. Their bodies have never been recovered. No one has ever been charged. Jane would be 68 years old today. Arna would be 66. Grant would be 62. Their mother, Nancy Beaumont, died in 2021, never knowing what happened to her children. Number 2, the original Night Stalker, also known as the Golden State Killer. For decades, a serial killer and rapist terrorized California. Between 1974 and 1986, he committed at least 13 murders, 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries across the state. He struck in at least 10 counties. He called victims on the phone before and after attacks. He mocked investigators. He was caught in 2018 not through traditional police work, but through forensic genealogy. Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer, was identified through DNA. He pleaded guilty in 2020 and was sentenced to life without parole. But here is what keeps this case on the list of the unsolved: there are still unidentified victims. There are still crimes attributed to him that remain officially open. And there are questions about what he did before 1974 that may never be answered. Number 1, the Springfield Three. On June 6, 1992, 3 women vanished from Springfield, Missouri. Cheryl Levitt, her daughter Suzanne, and Suzanne's friend Stacy McCall. They had last been seen celebrating high school graduation. The next morning, their house was empty. A broken porch light was the only sign of disturbance. No bodies have ever been found. No suspect has ever been charged. Someone took 3 people in the middle of the night and left no trace. That someone has never been identified. These 10 cases are a reminder that not every crime gets solved. That not every family gets closure. That somewhere, in almost every city and town in America and around the world, there are open files, faded photographs, and questions that may never be answered. Subscribe to Cold Case Vault for more. Because some stories need to be told until someone, somewhere, finally remembers something.